Hey everybody, I am so excited today because today is my inaugural office hours video. And what I'm going to be doing in these is taking your comments from throughout the month and kind of just combining them into one video where I respond to them. So yes, this is a comment response video, but we're going to call it office hours to make it sound fancy. So without further ado, please join us as we turn to this month's lecture topic, is Star Trek V an inherently Jewish film, and answer some questions. First, we have Jake DeToro. Jake comments, almost lost it when your Moses pick was from History of the World. You know what? Thank you, Jake. Thank you so much. Because, believe it or not, most professors are also aspiring stand-up comedians, and we also have a crippling need for validation. So you know what? You get an A today. Yeah, I said it. I definitely said it. But seriously, it's so obvious what the Trek examples are for screenshots for the most part, but you know, when you need a screenshot of Moses, not a lot laying around. So what else are you gonna do but put Mel Brooks into the mix, because he is the mensch of all mentions, and we are still lucky to have him on this planet with us. So yeah, had to get Mel Brooks in where I could. That said, none of y'all picked up, or nobody commented rather, on the obvious Mako horrendous joke that I made during this video, and frankly I'm disappointed in all of you. So 10 points off. Just so sad. Next, we have a conversation chain starting with John D4820. At the beginning of this lecture video, I mentioned that I hold a master's degree from the University of Georgia, and well, the SEC rolled in. John D4820 states, "Roll Tide, JK IDIC." For those of you who may not be familiar, IDIC is an acronym for infinite diversity in infinite combinations, the basis of Vulcan philosophy, and is represented by a triangle over like a circle insignia, but boiled down, it represents the belief that strength comes through unity in spite of differences. We see it first in the original series episode, Is There No Truth in Beauty? And the philosophy is described beautifully in the dialogue between Spock and the character Miranda, played by the always amazing Diana Muldaur. Miranda states, "The glory of creation is its infinite diversity," to which Spock responds, "And the ways our differences combine to create meaning and beauty." So what's that have to do with UGA? Not all that much. Other than the fact that John D4820 is clearly an Alabama football fan. And if you know SEC football at all, that means we are not allowed to be friends. But we are, John D4820. IDIC back, my friend. But I wasn't the only person amused either. A friend of the channel, Force Davis 7866, piped in too, stating, "This is the most adorable use of IDIC I've ever seen." Agreed, my friend. Agreed. Moving on to the next video, why did Spock's parents keep him from Sybok, and were they right? Let's start with this great comment from friend of the channel, RedMage913, who states, "I appreciate when reviewers point out the flaws in Spock's character. His telepathic power is definitely OP when written without full consideration of the consequences, and that power is abused several times as a plot device, Mr. Frodo, plot device, to get to the next scene quickly and effectively. Mind melds through walls is a great example." Thank you, RedMage913. It's always kind of scary when you bring up parts of beloved franchise characters that people don't necessarily want to be reminded of. So, like, I really appreciate you affirming that. There's a lot in this comment that I love. First, this idea that Spock's telepathic power is OP or overpowered. I think this is exactly what happens with Spock sometimes. It's convenient to have someone with a high Esper rating on the ship, so they use it when they need to move the plot forward without really thinking of the consequences for the characterization of Spock as a whole. This includes the classic example mentioned by RedMage913 of Spock mind melding through a wall in Taste of Armageddon. Like, how does that even work? Doesn't mind melding involve touch? But when you start adding up these convenient plot devices, they become who the character is over time. And that's what makes Sybok showing up actually work. There are seeds in Spock's timeline, whether intentional or lazy writing, where the son of Sarek is overpowered, which allows Sybok and his heresy to kind of slip in and work. Kind of like Michael showing up really isn't all that shocking because it's like, oh my god, what? Sarek has another child he's not actually raising? Okay, yeah, fine, yeah. Seeds were there. But what really gets me going is the other Vulcan who gets to use mind melds willy-nilly, and that's Tuvok. So, don't even get me started on how many times Janeway fixes a situation by having Tuvok doing non-consensual mind meld, because, well, frankly, I would just keep talking for the next 30 minutes. So let's just put a pin in that, and we will do another video on that at some other point. Oh, and 10 out of 10 for the reference to Rule Them All 2, Red Mage 913. Definitely got a laugh out of that, and if you guys don't know that reference, link in the show notes below. On that same video, I loved this comment from Diana Trett, who states, wondering if Flint is a Lanthanite, although he didn't have the accent, lol. Anyway, I've seen fanfics saying that Sarek does not have particularly strong telepathic powers, and so he doesn't want his half-human son to reflect the skills of some of the adepts. And Amanda studies to become an adept herself despite having no native skills. Besides, Spock seems to have learned his lesson, making no effort to remove the memories of David after his own resurrection. Agree that Spock's powers and their use varied a great deal in different series and movies. Aren't I wonder statements the best? I mean, seriously, why can't Flint be a Lanthanite? We wondered if Trelane could be a Q for so long that it moved from a beta canon novel to alpha canon episode, 3 weeks ago? But unfortunately, one line from Requiem for Methuselah steps on this theory a bit. McCoy, trying to figure out what Flint is, realizes that it was something about Earth itself that made Flint immortal. He remarks, "You see, Flint, in leaving Earth with all of its complex fields within which he was formed, sacrificed their immortality. He'll live the remainder of a normal lifespan, but then die." But when has anything like that kept a good fanfic from working? I mean, maybe the Lanthanites evolved on Earth parallel to humans. Maybe that's why Pelia keeps her junk shop on Earth, so she can just, juice up every now and again. Who's to say? I also like Diana's idea that Spock has maybe learned his lesson from the example with Reyna. I can't think of any other examples where Spock removes memories, especially without permission. But this example of his interrogation of Valeris from Star Trek VI it's still sticking with me. Does Spock just break in this moment? Does he realize that the only reason that all of his friends are in danger is because he took them on a peacekeeping mission that no one wanted? Is his mind's assault of Valeris aberrant, or is this Spock when push comes to shove? I still don't know. I still haven't decided yet. What do you think? Let me know, and I might just respond to it. Moving on to the last video this month, 5 things you maybe didn't know about Star Trek V. I've gathered some comments from YouTube and also TikTok. Starting with unicorns. In missed opportunities comments, again, friend of the channel, Forrest Davis 7866 chimes in stating, "Man, imagine what Lower Decks would have done with attack unicorns." Why do you torture me with these things? Y'all, I can absolutely picture a Lower Decks episode with an away mission to Nimbus 3 involving Mariner and some attack unicorns and Boims just screaming through, everything. So, really, really mad that we don't have another season of Lower Decks where this could happen. Also, keeping with the unicorn theme, Baker asks, what does a unicorn need with a starship? This is a great question. Don't really have an answer to it, but it did make me laugh, so thank you, Baker. Moving on to the fan dance portion of this video, I need to issue an apology here. Sports Tourist on TikTok commented, Sulu calls Uhura a fair maiden, aka a white virgin. That's why she said, sorry, neither. You know what? You're right. He absolutely, in the script and in the dialogue, calls her a fair maiden. I biffed this entirely. I'll fully admit that. That's the thing, though. They don't tell you this when you start teaching, but you're gonna make mistakes sometimes, and for me, it's really important to own that when it happens. I think that's what makes you what kind of teacher you are. So I'm not gonna double down on this. I remembered this line from Uhura as young lady in my head rather than fair maiden, and I didn't double check that memory. I remembered that Nichols had ad-libbed the line, I remembered the gist, and I didn't go back and triple check it, and that is irresponsible, and I will do better in the future. For me, Uhura's sorry neither line, for me, had more to do with perceived notions of age, nobility, and virginity than anything, because I'm coming at it from my own perspective. But there's a deeper meaning here to this ad lib of hers that I just steamrolled over by not remembering the quote properly and not taking the time to do the due diligence to double check it. The quote isn't young lady, it's fair maiden. The maiden aspect still jives with my memory of lady. I mean, who wants to be a lady, right? You know, Uhura isn't some piece of eye candy on the bridge. She's a critical component of the bridge crew. Without her, first contacts don't go well. Messages from other species get lost in translation. You know, she's part engineer, part helmsman, and the bridge doesn't function without her. She's not just some lady. But the line isn't young lady, it's fair maiden, and my misremembering took away a critical part of this, race. Uhura and Nichols isn't just responding to the idea that she is this virginal damsel in distress. She's rejecting the word fair to describe herself, and I erased that by misremembering and not doing my due diligence, and for that, I apologize. You know, professors make mistakes too, and I always loved the students who would challenge me on their grades or would challenge my perspective on things by presenting their own. You know, honestly, we're fallible. We are not God's representatives of knowledge in any way, and it takes courage to speak truth to power. You know, I'm in a position of authority and I made a mistake. So thank you so much for your candor, sports tourists. And for all of you, I welcome this in the future. And furthermore, and finally, I have added notes to the previous video to make this correction. So thank you again, sports tourists. And finally, let's talk about some marshmallows, y'all. LLAP, Lalap, on TikTok remarks in response to why Spock says marshmallows instead of marshmallows, I always assumed it was Amanda's fault. New headcanon accepted, LLAP, Lalap. I don't know how we're supposed to say that. Anyways, I can absolutely see Amanda being mischievous enough to punk her own kid with something like marshmallows. So yes, totally accept it. Absolutely here for it. And that's it for this month's office hours. Thank you so much for joining me today down a long road. I hope you enjoyed getting from there to here along with me. I do keep a close eye on comments, so if you're new to the channel, go back and watch some old videos and leave me some comments. I just might answer them in next month's office hours. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Take care, be well, and stay safe out there.